The 100-inning game is it's meant a lot of different things. When I was approached by both Bretty, Rudy, and Mike Lembo back when the game started, I was still working at the time as an umpire. So even though I had been diagnosed with ALS and I still felt that because my disease had spread so much slower than most people, I was still be able to umpire.
We'd like you to meet Walter Bentson tonight. He's a baseball umpire in New England, has been for 15 years, calling balls and strikes in control. But for 7 years now, a merciless disease has been bearing down on him. Before it gets too far, Walter is pulling on his umpire's mask one more time to make a difference.
Bentson has been an umpire for 15 years. Head of the city's park league, he's on 3,000 games, from amateur leagues to the prestigious Cape Cod League.
I kind of felt the world kind of crumbling, but I told myself if I could get back on the field, maybe mentally it would do me good.
The thought of leaving baseball gnaws at Bentson, but he knows he must. So this weekend, he'll don his hat one last time for the game of his life. It's called a baseball spectacular. Players volunteer to pitch, hit, and run for 100 innings nonstop to raise money for Kurt's Kids for ALS.
Kurt Schilling, when he was brought up from Baltimore to the Phillies and made his major league debut with the Phillies were the only, and still are, the only major league ball club to have ALS as their team charity. With Schilling coming here, where Rudy and Mike Lembo came up with this insane idea about the 100-inning game.
Innocently enough, I sent an email to one of my teammates saying, hey, what would you think about playing a 100-inning game? Just one sentence email. And he emailed me back and said, okay, sure, why? One day Bretty emailed me, I was at work, it was just kind of a regular old day, and he said, what do you think about playing a 100-inning baseball game? I said, that sounds like a great idea, it's a great concept. And, we got to talking, and I thought it was a great idea to start. I thought, let's do something for charity. If we're going to do this, let's make it, a special event. And then we just moved on from there.
This I received from the ALS Association in 2004. This was in honor of the first 100 innings of baseball game that we did back almost 20 years ago. So they gave me this award back then. I've had it on my desk ever since. When the game began in 2004, when Curt Schilling joined the Boston Red Sox, we reached out to them through Kurt's agent and wanted to see if he'd participate in our game because we knew he was very involved with the ALS Association Massachusetts chapter. We worked primarily with Kurt's wife, Shonda, and the first year, Shonda came down. She went 1 for 1 with an RBI. She pitched. Funny story. So I'm up at bat. Shonda Schilling is pitching. And I'm thinking to myself, one of two things can happen and neither of them will end well. I will either get out, in which case I'll never hear the end of it because Curt Schilling's wife got me out, or I'll get a really big hit off her and everybody will say, what the heck were you doing swinging hard against Shonda Schilling? So I considered the two alternatives and figured better to get a hit than not, and I doubled off of her. So that was the first year. In the second year, Curt himself came down. He did not actually pitch, but he participated actively in the game. And some number of years later, when Curt's son Gehrig was old enough to play with adults, he brought his youth team down from Medfield, and the entire Medfield team took the field for 6, 7, 8 innings. So over the years, 3 different Schillings have participated in our game. So this is one of 2 pairs of cleats that Curt Schilling did not use in the 2004 season. One of them was passed to a player who wore them during the 100 innings of baseball, and who the heck knows what happened to them since. The other pair I saved, Curt signed, and of course now it's famed because 2004, after our first 100 innings of baseball, is when they went on to win the World Series, and he became famous for his bloody sock. And as you can see, he wrote KALS on this. So 100 innings of baseball. This is our 18th straight year doing the game. People always say, well, how long is it? And I always have to say, baseball is not a timed game, so we just play 100 straight innings. When people show up at the ball game, they're added to the lineup. Unlike a traditional game where you strategically build a lineup that will score you the most runs, in a 100 inning game, we put it together based on who's showing up first. You show up first, you bat first, show up second, you bat second, and there are times when you might have 40 people in the lineup. When a new guy shows up, you add them to the bottom. When somebody leaves, you cross them out, and then every 9 innings, when you need to flip a page in the book, you rewrite the lineup based upon the guys who were there and the guys who were left. And you keep that going over the course of the entire game. The first year that we did the 100 innings of baseball, we had 186 players participate. That does not mean that all those guys played the entire game. Maybe 24 did. But you have a lot of people who are coming and going over the course of 35, 36 hours.
The desire that people have to come out and put their bodies through not only to play in the 100 consecutive innings over 30 plus hours, but what they're going to have to go through the next couple, 2, 3, 4 days after the 100 inning game to recuperate. It's just amazing. And I often say to myself, why are they doing this? And one side of me says that they're doing it for the ALS cause and all the such wonderful people. And then another side of me is like the angel and the devil on my shoulder. And that's not really why they're doing it. They're doing it because they love playing baseball. And they can play almost where can you play in the game that you can get 30 at-bats in one game? You might not get 30 at-bats in your entire season when you're playing the league, so.
Thank you very much. I'm ready to go. All right, let's go. I've been playing baseball now for 41 years. 41 of the best years of my life. Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do in the world. I came back and I found this league. Actually was walking one of my dogs and saw the guys playing down at Ingleside, and I asked them, who are you guys? And they told me, at the time they were the North Shore Black Sox. So it was their last game of the season. I trained for a year, came back and started playing with them, and it got the hook in me again, and I can't get enough of it now. I started bodybuilding when I was younger. I obviously don't do it anymore. I kind of stopped right before I turned 40 due to some injuries. For me, I had to have all my bodybuilding, I have to lift this much in order mentally for me to say, okay, I need to succeed in baseball. I need to be able to do, 225, 10 times. I need to do, lat pull downs this many times. So I was like a mental case. Everything with me was calculated, to get where I know my body needs to be. But the other aspect was all those heavy lifting weights over the years has really deteriorated my body, where it's at the point where I'm getting surgeries every year to play. I've had the knees done. I had my shoulder done twice. That's just how much I love it. My doctors say you're an idiot. You're not getting paid. I'm actually paying to play. I probably lose $2,000 a year to play with bats and equipment and, the dues. But again, it's an addiction. It's an addiction for me.
Guys. Like $1 million bucks. How's it going?
Hey, you're late.
Hey, how you doing?
You're late.
You guys? Nice to see you. How's it going? Thanks for being here.
I'm Steve Lippy, 38 years old. I grew up in Malden, Massachusetts. How I got back into adult baseball, I was working at a program for troubled kids, and my supervisor and I were throwing the ball around one day, and he said, hey, why don't you come play with us? I said, sure. In Boston, in Massachusetts, almost everybody can play baseball. You go to any part of the country, when you say Boston, they automatically assume baseball. They assume Red Sox, and they already bring up the Yankees, those bums. I think in this league, you got guys as close to being AAA or AA as you can get. There are guys out here with some real talent who spend the time practicing throughout the off season, and there's a lot of talented guys here.
The guys that are in this league know how to play baseball. This is not a glorified softball league. This is legitimate, amateur baseball, wooden bat. It is MLB baseball, but for, you know, amateurs, for guys that know how to play, but just never got quite to that level.
Oh my God, I mean, baseball is baseball, right? It's the same reason I'd rather watch like NCAA basketball than NBA basketball, right? It's like the spirit is there. These aren't guys who are making millions of dollars playing. These are guys who are playing because they love the sport. And I think for me, that is such a different rush when you're playing, because it's what you love to do, and in what most instances you're paying to play, right? You love this game.
What I love about baseball, I love that there's social justice to the rules. It's a democratic and diplomatic and just game. I'm a Yankee fan. I mean, we're being Italian from anywhere near New York City. My mom was born in Newark, raised in Scranton. My dad was a New Yorker. We grew up with New York City in our sights. In the suburbs there, and it was no question. I was a Yankee fan because my mom was a Yankee fan, because her father was a Yankee fan, because his parents were Yankee fans.
Who is your favorite baseball team?
I mean, Sox. I mean, hands down. When I first met Zach, I remember I said to him, like, I really like baseball. And he was like, no, me too. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm obsessed. I know you like baseball, because in his profile on OkCupid, right, it was like, I like baseball. It's like, okay, so I know you like baseball, but I've never met anybody who liked baseball the way that I like baseball. And he likes baseball the way that I like baseball. So kind of finding out that he was a Yankees fan, it broke my heart a little bit, but it's the love of the game, and he loves the game that the way that I love the game. I can't talk about what I love about baseball without kind of talking about how I got into baseball. When I was a kid, I grew up in foster care, and my foster mother, Judy, had this rule that you couldn't be in the house, right? Like if it was summertime, we had to be out. I live in the city, and there was a movie theater, and A League of Their Own came out when I was 10, and I snuck in every Saturday to see this movie. At the time in my life, it was not a lot of joy, not a lot of happiness, not a lot of family. And I watched League of Their Own, and for a lot of people, like, their favorite scene is when Dottie does the split and catches the ball. And for me, it's always the scene at the end when they show all the real players, and she just hits a line drive. And even at, however old she was, in her 50s, this just look of joy came over her face. And I remember thinking, I need to feel that. I want to feel that. And I started to just find pickup games. Like, I would walk around the neighborhood and just find boys playing. And so for me, baseball was this kind of, even at the age of 10, like a second shot at life to kind of refine that. So it's always been a huge part of my life, because even if everything else was shit, like, I could put on a game. I could go play. I could be a part of something bigger.
Three.
To see all you people turn out for this. So my heartfelt thank you to all of you. You're making an enormous difference in this fight against ALS. Thrilled and honored to have Dr. Brown here, the recipient of this money and the world's leading researcher in ALS. He's going to throw out the first pitch.
To play the 100-inning game throughout the whole night, you really have to prep yourself.
What's interesting about the 100 innings of baseball is you have typically a dozen or 2 dozen players who participate in the whole game, And as long as you are in the batting order for all 100 innings, you are considered to have played all 100 innings, even if you're not necessarily in the field the entire time.
All right, so you got a little key right here, right? These are all the positions. And then depending on what happens, you score the position. So like for this one, right, the second baseman catch it, throw it to first, that's 1 out. I don't know what just happened now. What just happened? I just missed it. What did Angelo do? When you go into the 100 innings, you know this is a long ass game, right? And you are just buckling down, and the first through like 70th inning really don't matter, right? They do. You want to get as many runs as you can, but it's really the 70th on that matters, because people get tired and people start to lose it, and who's coming in and who's going out, right? There's all these like little things.
I think one of the things I love about playing the 100-inning game is that I get to play positions that my teammates and coach won't let me play during the rest of the year.
You get to play a lot of different positions that you normally wouldn't get to play, because shortstop's open, somebody's got to play shortstop. I got it.
And since this game is a bit of a first come, first serve, you run out to the field, wherever you're standing, other people are going to run to a different position. So if I could run myself to shortstop, I get to play shortstop, and therefore I'm a shortstop.
It doesn't always start that way. I think towards the beginning of the game, people tend to play a position that's more true. But when your roster starts to get a little bit slimmer, people just hustle out to wherever there's an opening on the ball field. There are players that try to play all 9 positions over the course of a game. In a typical 9-inning game, that might be hard to do. In a 100-inning game, as long as you're willing, it ain't that hard. The toughest part is to be able to throw or to catch. And the interesting thing about our pitchers is we typically have a handful of guys who throw 10 or 20 or even more innings over the course of the game. I mean, if you do the math, in a 100-inning game, you have 200 innings that need to be pitched, 100 by the home team, 100 by the away team. So that's 200 innings. So if you had 20 guys throw 10 innings, that gets you through the game. Well, guess what? Most people can't throw 10 innings. So think about the number of pitchers that you need. Same is true to a lesser extent for catchers. You need a lot of pitching, especially. You need a good number of catchers. And for all the other positions, it kind of just falls into place. A lot of the pitchers will go in and throw 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 innings. Meanwhile, I've seen catchers that are in there 40, 50 innings. And I would say to catch 50 innings is probably harder than to pitch 10.
I mean, it was definitely something that Angie and I, this love for baseball, were hopeful when we first started dating, hopeful that the other person would match our affection for the game. When it did, it was just joyful. I mean, for the first few months of our relationship, that summer of 2016, I would say 80% of our dates were at the batting cages. And I would force her to hit in the extra fast cage with me, not to dumb it down to the fast or the medium speed cage. And so she would get in there and she would face 80 miles an hour being, hucked at her from 40 feet away with me, and she would go for it.
I wanted to play baseball, always. I really like playing with the guys for it. I like the distance from the bases. I like the fact that we're playing with wooden bats, right? Like we're playing with real bats. Like the sound, that tink off of a metal bat drives me insane, but that sound off of a wooden bat is just like heaven. That was my 5th 100 innings game, and it had always kind of been this running joke that I would eventually wear the uniform. It was like, if we can find it and it looks good, I'm going to wear it. I wore it for 1 inning because it was not comfortable to play in.
Andrew, you changed.
I had to. I had no range of motion in the Peaches uni.
Yeah, you couldn't
so I couldn't
swing?
really, no, I couldn't swing, so I changed. I grounded out.
You still look good. Look like a ball player.
Thanks.
Let's go.
Guys, coming home though. Appeal. Yeah, fellow teammate, appeal. Oh, no.
Johnny, how you feeling?
She like 16. Good.
Good.
Already.
First hit of the game?
Let's see, yeah. Why not? Get it right out of the way.
I never doubt my athletic ability when it comes to baseball, but as I get older, I'm doubting my body. My mind, my confidence says, you got this. The body's kind of telling you something else at that time, but I went in thinking, do my best and just, hope for the best, plan for the worst. You never know. Baseball, you have hot days, and that day I was on fire.
Is this your first 100 innings game?
No, it is not.
How many of these have you played in?
I've been to 3, including this one, but I've only played in 2.
Okay. How are you doing today? How's it going today?
Pretty good. Got some good hits.
All right, Johnny, showing you what to do?
I did. I ran for Johnny.
Yeah.
Run for me. My man.
They're a good team.
So far, he's got the best hit of the day, I think.
I think so.
One of the two best hits, yeah.
Declan is Rob Ferran's son, and he's 13. Great kid, comes to all my games. He's like my biggest fan. So at the 100 inning game, my hip was pretty flared up because I hurt it really bad the last game of our season. I was hitting the ball well, and I was get on first base, and Declan's like, "Hey, let me run for you." And I said, "All right." But he's a great kid, and Rob's obviously, I love Rob. I actually met him at the 100 inning game, and he said he had such a great time, in the dugout listening to my war stories from, wild weekends or whatever, that he said, "I don't care if I ever play an inning, I want to be on your team so I can hear more." And he actually joined the Dodgers right after that.
First time I met Johnny McGee. So the first time I met him was 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, in the 100 inning game. We just started talking, and he decided to start telling me all these crazy stories that were crazy. They were so crazy that they could not be true. And we've been pretty good friends ever since. He loves my stepson, thinks he's the greatest kid going. I've been playing in the 100 inning game for the last 8 or 9 years. I've made a lot of friends. I've gotten on some teams that playing in the game. First time I met Walter, pretty much the same as everyone meets him now. He's cracking jokes and making fun of people just to keep everything light. And it's the first time I realized he had ALS. I knew who Walter was from playing baseball because he coordinates almost all the umpires in Boston. So I knew the name, but I never actually met him. His attitude alone makes you want to do this. Makes you want to get up and play for 27 to 30 straight hours to try to find a cure for this awful disease that he has. And it's almost an inspiration to all of us to go out there and want to keep doing this game and want to keep putting our bodies through this. But guys like him, who keep such a positive attitude.
Come on! Go play home! Back! Wait! Get the tags! Let's go!
And we're going to have our first umpire change. Thank you to the guys who opened the game. Those who met us on first place, please give a wave. His wife passed away a few years ago from ALS, and his bill still comes out. And Bobby Clancy lost his brother to ALS. So both these guys were in the first group. Thank you guys very, very much.
Without love, I'm nothing. Without love,
I wanted to participate in the game as an umpire, I still felt that since I was so actually working at Cape Cod League and various other men's leagues around, that I would wait until I could no longer work. And that happened in 2006, the third annual game, and I made that my last official game that I umpired. And I did about 62 innings behind the plate, and I did the rest of the game on the bases. So that was kind of my last hurrah as far as umpiring goes.
"15 six-man crews umpire the whole 100 inning game, so we've had as many as 90 umps, and on the wee hours of the morning, sometimes we're down to there are only 4 guys at every position every 2 hours. So the umpires volunteer the time, and they kind of know it's my passion to run this game once a year. And for a 100 inning T-shirt, I mean, I have guys who have umped in that 15 T-shirts for 15 plus games. So it's just remarkable how the game has lasted this long.
I got up to bat. Jay Thomas was catching, and he's like, "Oh, look where Rudy's playing in center field." He's like, "Please hit one over his bleeping head." Brett was like 5 feet behind second base, and I'm like, does he not know that the game's going on? And sure as I just hit a pop fly probably to where he would have been if he played in the right position, and it just went over his head by about 20, 30 feet.
You're out!
Thanks for the pitching. Most importantly, when you pitch, you fast inning. You need that 100 inning game. Great work. Great. How does it feel? You doing good? Feels great. Ready to go? You're mic'd up.
Feeling great. Today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
This is Lou Gehrig's day here. So I've got my
number 4.
Got my classic 1930s Lou Gehrig uni.
First baseman Lou Gehrig hung up an amazing.
Been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
It drove me crazy when people would say to me, Lou Gehrig died back in 1939, and yet there's still no treatment for this. The Angel Fund began for me after my dad had been diagnosed and passed away with ALS. We didn't think it had any kind of family connection. My youngest brother, the youngest of 9, when he started showing symptoms and got tested, we realized, unfortunately, he was dying of ALS, and we knew it was genetic within my family. I consider myself unbelievably lucky to have grown up in such a big house. My poor mom had 9 kids. It's a unique history because with my dad, we didn't know it was ALS until the end. Well, from the diagnosis, it was exactly 1 month later that my dad died. And unfortunately, Jimmy, the youngest of all the Kennedys, Jimmy was 28 when he was diagnosed, and it only lasted 3 years. So he passed away when he was 31. That's unfortunately what sparked me to do something, and really was the genesis for the Angel Fund. We knew it would hit again, eventually.
I always knew in the back of my head that, it was a possibility. He just sat me down and said, this is something I want to tell you in person. Just gave us the news.
We knew so much more about the disease, but we can actually say now that we're transferring that knowledge now and actually treating people with that. I'm the first person to receive something called gene silencing. We're doing genetic research right now, so it's easier to track that and to follow that and to treat that. Most ALS is what we call sporadic. That's 90% of all cases, and we start with the genetic, but we're also doing a lot of research now into the sporadic as well. We're getting there. I can't quite put a time frame on it. I just know that I was treated successfully. 15 more people will get it. And the way that medical research goes, those 15, if successful, will turn into 150. Those will turn into 1,500, etc. That's how things will grow. So this is the biggest step ever taken in the treatment of ALS. There's no question about that. And it's only going to get bigger from here.
Players are doing what they can to help raise money to battle ALS, and this weekend, that means stepping up to the plate again and again.
Baseball players from across Massachusetts working to strike out ALS. They're swinging their bats and running the bases to raise money for the Angel Fund, a foundation that supports research to find a cure for Lou Gehrig's disease.
Through the years, we've raised over $700,000 that has all been contributed by the players who participated in the game.
Many of the players, like Jay Hussey, say it's a cause that hits close to home.
My cousin was diagnosed last year with ALS, so a bunch of the guys that I play baseball with decided this year that we were going to raise money in his name.
Many have participated for years, and veteran player Kevin O'Leary will play his 1,000th inning during this year's game.
We call ourselves a band of brothers. It's torture. It's 35 hours in a row, so you get pretty close to the guy sitting next to you.
It's a tough couple of days, but the players say they'll rally.
A lot of Red Bull.
And it's all for the cause.
Just to show support, raise money for a terrible disease, to try to fight it and get a cure.
Justin Doherty, 7 News Today in New England.
This is the 15th year for the game. Organizers say this is what inspired Pete Frates to start the viral Ice Bucket Challenge.
Of course, the Frates with the Ice Bucket Challenge, which took off, that had to be about 10 years ago now, but Pete Frates came down to 100 AM several times. And I wear underneath all my shirts that I wear because I don't want to get cold at 3 in the morning, but I wear a Frates shirt in honor of Pete every year. So
going back is Frates.
Passionate, genuine,
hardworking. Before ALS and after ALS, those words are what describes Pete.
It's not very often you come across somebody who actually changed the world.
Frady's is swinging the bat today with an awful lot of confidence.
Few people can say they changed the world. Pete Frady's was one of those people.
For a young guy like myself to be diagnosed, hopefully I can use my youth and the networks that I'm part of to promote some awareness.
And this is all to raise awareness for ALS and Pete Frady's.
A father, a husband, a game changer in the world of ALS, whose courageous battle inspired a movement, helping launch a tidal wave of ice buckets, raising $200 million for a seemingly unstoppable disease.
When this disease is stopped, which it's going to happen, this will go back to Pete and the Ice Bucket Challenge for being the beginning of the end of this disease.
Pete is unfortunately gone, and without him and his funds that he's raised and his situations, I mean, research would be years behind if it wasn't for what Pete Frady's did.
This is Pete's jersey.
That bold maroon 3, unmistakably Pete Frady's. Julie Frady's Christmas tree is adorned with many memories.
Ice Bucket Santa!
So much love is captured in photos in her Marblehead home, but most of all, that love is alive inside Julie and daughter Lucy.
She looks so much like you, but also Pete too. She looks a lot like Pete. She acts like Pete too. So I get that little remembrance all the time. She's, you know, so sweet and kind-hearted, and just so many of Pete's qualities that I think, like, I'm just so proud of her, like I was of him.
What inning is it? 43rd.
The night is young.
It still may happen. Leading the comeback. I'm leading the comeback charge right now.
I've loved baseball since I was a kid, and the game itself is amazing. And just meeting the guys that are here. I mean, 2009, I left there with a spot on a team, and I've been playing ever since. I started at the 28s back then when I was 40, and now I'm on the 38s at 52, and loving it. I've made lifelong friends sitting on that bench over there. They say pitching is the most violent thing that you can do to your body. I pitched 17 innings this game. We didn't have a game last year. And in 2019, I actually pitched 29 innings. It kills you. I mean, you know, you get older, you get more out of shape, and but we're still here, and I'll throw until my arm falls off. So.
My cousin was diagnosed at the end of 2017, and he ended up succumbing to the disease in 2019. The first year we became Welch's Warriors. It was just his name on the back of our jersey. In 2019, when he ended up passing away, we decided to do it for ALS Warriors. And on the back of my jersey right now, we have 7 or 8 people that are close with the group that we have that have passed away or have contracted the disease. Playing in the game, all 100 innings last year as a goal, I set for raising $1,000, and I said if I got that goal that I would catch the last 50 innings. I was able to surpass my goal, and at inning 51 I went in and I was able to catch the last strike in the 100th inning, and that meant the world to me. Pretty much every year that I do this, it's in Johnny's name.
You can see I have some initials on my hat. AB is a friend's grandmother. JA is John Alcanada, my friend's dad. JMO is my dad, who I lost this year. and AS is my friend Al Sullivan that I just lost a couple of weeks ago. So it gets personal, you know, when you're out there and you're thinking about those folks. And, you know, my coffee, I have coffee every year. My dad always brought me a coffee. My mom brought it for me today, and my kids just brought me a backup. So baseball, I mean, it's generational. It really is. And it's family, and your teammates become your brothers. So that I've really got out of this game the most.
When we started this game, ALS was a death sentence. I think back to the people who had ALS who attended the game in the first year, and they're not with us any longer. And in the amount of time that we've been doing this, Walter Bentson, who's our umpire chief, was diagnosed with ALS, and Rat from the Angel Fund was diagnosed with ALS.
To stand by and watch helplessly while your younger brother shrivels away and dies is the most useless feeling you could ever have, and that's not me. This is when the Angel Fund started, number one, to protect the rest of my family, but to do something, because at that point I'd seen so much of the horrors of ALS. I'm with a bunch of like-minded people who all have family histories or have lost a husband, a wife, or someone like that, and we're all committed to finding a cure.
Rat was a tremendous marathon runner, and he ran, 30 Boston marathons, and was training for another marathon, and he started having tingling in his legs, and right away he knew. And this was probably 5-6 years ago. Rat now has been under the care of Dr. Brown for years, and is hanging in there pretty well. There's ALS familia, which is the family gene, where a lot of people in families get the gene, and my case is sporadic. When I was diagnosed, I went downhill fairly quickly. I went from being a fairly active individual. I was in my mid-40s. I was still in great shape. I could run, throw for my age, probably better than most people my age. And to lose that mobility and to lose some of your faculties fairly quickly, you go from feeling why me, or why sorry for yourself or your family situation at the time. And I received a card in the mail from a great friend of mine, John Carroll, and he's a former big-time basketball and baseball umpire official. And he said, "Walter, hang in there. Even in life, you have to go into extra innings. But remember, the most important thing is don't forget your cup." I just came back from a spinal tap, and I had a massive headache, and I crawled up the stairs in her room. I got in bed, and she read me the card. She said, I kind of smiled and said, "You kind of had that twinkle that when you woke up, things would be different." And I woke up about 15 hours later, and I said, "I'm going to do whatever it takes. It's a battle, it's a war, and for whatever reason, I had no idea. Nobody knows, even my doctors, how for 20 years I so can walk. Obviously, my speech is affected. It's just been extremely slow. And I think of people like Pete Frates comes to mind, and so many people in my clinic who came in better shape than I am, and it only lasts 3 to 5 years. Why me? It's just a marvel. So I don't think about it too deeply. I don't dwell on it too much. I just say thank you to whoever, and try to support everybody who's not as lucky as I am.
Every year when Walter walks out at midnight, it is, I'm almost speechless, because here's another person who this game is so important. And you know that people who love this game, who play this game, like your blood just is a different color. he gets up there and everybody's in tears, right? Because he's battling ALS, this game that we play for, and so he's a little stiff, but you watch him and he gets up there and he gets to call that, and you just know that's probably the happiest he is. I mean, at least that night, but probably one of the happiest moments of his year is to get to ump at midnight still.
When you see Walter come out, and he does it every year, and to throw the canes down, you get the goosebumps, and you get the lump in your throat, and you're like, the guy's just badass.
I safety field at midnight. Takes me about a half an hour to get dressed for 2 minutes of punishment. I'm now down to, I think, one batter now. I think after I did all those innings in 2006, then I did 3 innings, then 2.5, and then 2, and then 1.5, and then the whole inning, and then a half inning, and then 5 batters, 4 batters, 3 batters, 2 batters. Now I'm down about 1 batter, and eventually I'll get down to 1 pitch, but it's so worth it.
He's so positive about his whole situation, and he swears he's never going to use the canes again by next year. And part of me believes him. I believe him. He's just as driven as every ball player on that field to beat this. And if it wasn't for guys like him, a lot of us wouldn't even know what this disease is.
I honestly saw him come out and I thought, he looks like he looked 4 years ago, my first game playing in this amazing event. And that made me think that we're actually making progress when it comes to finding a cure for this terrible disease.
What I'm receiving now, I'm the first person to receive something called gene silencing. Genes take place in only about 10% of all ALS cases. The rest are what we call sporadic. The genes are much more easily to deal with because within my family especially, we know which one they were aiming for. What you're doing is you're disabling that particular gene, which has gone haywire and is producing neurotoxins to shut down the motor nerves. So the theory, of course, is that if you shut that down, you stop the degeneration. Hopefully then your muscles can start to recover. Well, I'm walking proof that we did stop the progression, and I am, in fact, recovering. It's the first time it's happened with anybody, so we don't know what the results are going to be over the long term, but over the short term, I'm kind of exceeding everybody's expectations with this. In the past, I always talked about playing, and Walter went, no, no. I promise I'll get a uniform, I'll take batting practice several times, I'll buy
You're in tough shape.
So yeah, this is our fifth 100 inning game. Our first 100 inning game in 2016 together. We were boyfriend, girlfriend, new couple, very exciting to be together.
Yeah.
And this field is really where we became something more than boyfriend, girlfriend. We became teammates.
Like I had this weird feeling like something was going on, but I was also like, you know, super anxious about the game. And when we were getting to the field, I was like, it just feels different. But then, you know, we played a couple innings and so I was like, oh, what, you know, everything's fine. It's just me.
I think the pine tar is high up on that bat. Exactly the pine tar on that plan?
Right, is this a George Brett type of deal? I got another one.
Right. He's got another bat.
And I got the umpire and the opposing pitcher in play and the catcher in play to question Angie on her illegal bat. So they started checking it for pine tar. Angie had no idea why. Everyone was
And I was like, you guys realize this is a charity game, right?
Why are you?
Why does it matter?
I don't think that I actually said, will you marry me?
You didn't. You know you didn't. And you just kept, you just asked me if I wanted to use the bat. And then I think you kept hitting my leg.
I was like, wait a second.
And then I was just like, yes, like yes.
There's no crying in baseball.
And then I took off my helmet and we kissed and I started crying and then Walter said very loudly, there's no crying in baseball, and I stuck my middle finger.
And we ingratiated ourselves immediately to Walter, which was probably, you know, top 5
well,
best things about it.
Walter's comment was that there's a priest here, and I was
there's a priest here.
Yeah.
I watch the game and I love the game. I don't get to play the game, so being on the other side of it as often as I am, I kind of am like, all right, this is the move we need to make. Like I watch it all the time. This is the move we need to make.
There's two feelings that suck during the game. It's that wall you hit around after midnight, you know? You've been playing since 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever to 8, 9 o'clock, and now it's midnight. And I remember this year, we were all dying. We had like 10 guys. and our morale was kind of like, we were losing, we were exhausted, we were like mentally kind of hitting that wall, which, you know, you got to look at your friends and they'll help get you through it. Like John will be like, you know, come on, let's go. But I'll never forget this. All of a sudden I saw a car full of yellow jerseys pull up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just said, guys, come over here. And it was the Pirates from our 28 plus league. And those guys were awesome. I have nothing but respect for that team. Those guys came in and saved our asses. Like one of them, I think he pitched like a ridiculous amount of innings and was throwing gas, you know, and they really brought us back.
Oh, thank God, because we just needed fresh eyes.
In that 60th inning, when it's like the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it might be, you might be as tired as you've ever been, but you're still motivated and energized by the fact that you're doing this for a great cause.
Sometimes you go an hour or two between at-bats. So the time you spent with those guys that are on the bench with you, that's the time I remember the most. Hanging out with the guys, laughing, telling jokes, telling stories.
This hitter over here, okay?
Is this, bro? We got Brett Rudy.
Brett Rudy.
Ooh, Brett takes a big hack. Foul ball.
There was a play over there, you know, I just beat one out, the guy came off the bag. And the guy said, come on, it's a charity game. And I said, you know what, if you called me out, I would be like, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
It's a charity game, I'm safe, what are you doing? He's off the bag.
And we got Jay Hussey up to bat. Lefty, running on first, 2 outs. Now it's 0-1 to Hussey. Look, the pitch. Looked good. Oh, he's got it. And they throw him out at second, trying to steal. Love it.
He's got a gun.
He's got a gun for sure, yeah. Throwing to second, throwing to third.
I didn't play them. I don't remember playing the Pirates. This guy up here. All right, this guy. How do you say his last name?
Francis.
Zach?
Zach. Santa Monica.
Zach Kama Sutra. Zach Kama Sutra. What do you say? Hey, what do you say, Zach Kama Sutra? What do you say, kid?
Yeah. And then you're after me.
We're in the field now.
Yeah.
We're not
When the game first started out, I had an umpire call me and they said, you're really going to have a lot of problems getting umpires at 3 in the morning from the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift. And ironically, that was the easiest because umpires would call me and say, Walter, you've assigned me 1,000 games in my career. And 700 of them were at 5 or 6 o'clock. And by the end of the game, I was watching the sun go down. I've never done a game when the sun came
That's one of my favorite, because it reminds me of my grandmother. She used to make up pretty slow.
Rob, you awake, bro?
What?
You awake?
Not really.
Teamwork in baseball looks like a bunch of guys out there picking each other up, having each other's backs. People make mistakes. They don't get on each other's ass. You just come through, just make shit happen. And you play for fun, and you play to win.
That's right.
It's all about respect.
Respect.
Tyler John O'Lippy.
Right? This kid must have thrown 200 pitches.
Didn't he get the
Yeah,
memo
at least.
about hitting the ball that hard at the
He
time?
went into the ball.
I want to see the floor.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the top of the 80th inning in the 18th annual 100-inning game. We have a close game, 59-52.
Walter, who's on the hill?
James Greeley has thrown an incredible 29 innings. He took the mound at midnight. 7 hours later, he's still throwing strikes. He's walked one. Incredible.
We might be here for an awful lot longer, except for great accuracy with a pitcher like this, who hangs in there and just keeps on throwing strikes.
As a line drive whistles by his left
Nearly
ear.
kills him.
Right, so you think that really on the mound just walked his second batter. He's gone 29 2/3 innings. Do you think he might be getting tired?
Might be time to pull him. You know, he doesn't want to come off the mound, but one more walk, and I think we've got to get him out of there. Forget how tired he might be. I'm getting real tired myself, so I don't want to see any unnecessary pitches thrown.
I was about to say, Rat, but Rat, that's a selfish comment because this game is not about you. But a second thought, it is about you.
I'm glad you look at it that way. So more and more and more, we're going to start making changes to this because this game is all about me. Oh, this is Video Man who's up at bat right now.
This is the drone provider.
Absolutely.
The documentary provider.
Good contact.
Dive. No. Could score 2.
And 2 it does. Clutch hit, 2 runs dropped, driven in by Video Man.
1,740 people had shown up to watch the Pawtucket Red Sox take on the Rochester Red Wings. Most of the fans, we can only assume, had every intention of staying till the end of the game. And yet, it wasn't the cold that drove away the bulk of them. It was the clock. The game started just after 8 and continued till just before sunrise, the longest game in baseball history. They played 32 innings that night, spent 8 hours in frigid cold, and still, nobody won. Around 4 a.m., the league president ordered them to finish it another day, which they did.
When we first started playing our game, we were contacted by a historian who is writing up the longest baseball game. So every year he'd contact me and say, hey, did you guys play again? And then what time did you start? How many innings? And he wrote it up. And we got listed by having the longest games that have ever been played. Over the years, there have been people that have been trying to duplicate the 100 innings of baseball because they've read about it through our website and the news articles and TV articles that are published about us. Many of the games, though, are not exactly the same. A lot of them are run by pitching machines. So maybe they'll play 100 innings in like a very long afternoon. You know, they'll breeze through it. But there are some games that have since been longer than ours in both innings and in time. However, I'm not necessarily upset by that for 2 reasons. One, our game has by far been the longest played. Nobody has played 18 years running for 100 innings of baseball. Some of these games they'll play for a year or 2 and then they stop. And number 2, none of them have come anywhere close to raising the types of funds that we've been able to raise for ALS. And the third point is, If our game inspires other people to play 100 innings game or other types of marathon baseball games, then great. We're still the founding fathers.
Strike three.
Gentlemen, we are in the top of the 100.
In the last inning, the only people that are in the field are the people who have been there all 100 innings. Sometimes it's actually more than 9 people on a side.
Everybody that's made the full 100 innings all goes out on the field. It doesn't matter if there's 12 guys, 15 guys, whatever it is. It's just kind of a hats off to you guys for being there and making it.
This way, if we have 14 fielders, we are sure that no more than 3 runs will be scored.
So let's say there's 15 people on a side who've been there the entire game. All 15 of those guys will go out in the field. So it's a little bit unorthodox, but in that 100th inning, you might have 15 guys out in the field because everybody who's been there the entire game is going to be out in the field to finish the game.
I mean, this year was very close. It was a very, very close game, which it's usually not that close.
This game, 2021, was that game where it came down to the very last inning, the 100th inning.
You're there, and so that rush of adrenaline that you lost when the sun came up, it's just back with a vengeance.
Now they started coming back. We were walking some guys. All our pitchers were kind of hurting, and guys we had in there that weren't real pitchers.
Oh!
I was looking at my buddy Jono, and dude, this better not go into extra innings. I can't deal. I'm like, I'm not doing 101 innings. That's just crazy.
We've had a couple of close games in the past, and I kind of made the joke. In the third 100 game, again in 2006, we had a similar situation of last year's 100 game. It's a one-win game. Somebody came up to bat and says, Walter, what do we do if we're tied after 100 innings? Are we going to play extras? And I kind of leaned over and said, I guarantee we'll not play 101 innings. And the first pitch came in, it was probably 4 or 5 inches off the plate and 3 or 4 inches low. Strike. I get it. I should swing. Yes.
Baseball is not a timed game, and 100 innings take as long as they take. One year, it even went extra innings, and we played 101. So as if 100 innings weren't enough, we had to go one more just to get that game. Matter while you're playing, whether you win or lose, you want to win. But what you're really rooting for is the game to end. Right? There's a point in time when you're like, okay, let's just get an out. Okay, great. We're only 19 outs left. Only 18 outs left. Only 17 outs left. And it doesn't matter who gets the out, which team is winning. You just start counting the outs. And that's what's more important than winning and losing. And when you take a giant step back, it doesn't matter anyway. The game is meaningless. You're there to raise money and awareness for ALS and make a contribution to the cause. And whether the home team or away team wins, it doesn't really matter. Now, that said, it's always fun when it's more of a close game, because then people are fighting until the bitter end.
Keep you home. Big lead. You got to tie this up. Big go, Dale.
9 runners, 7. 2 outs.
Let's go.
Down by 2. No pressure.
Yeah.
comment. ALS research is now progressing like it never ever has before. It's absolutely stunning the things that have happened just in the past 2 years. I want everyone to take pride in the progress that we're making, because you show up year after year after year, and it's these things which have contributed to the over $18 million that we've raised. Your attitude is phenomenal. Your grit and determination is unbelievable. You're the perfect model for someone like us fighting ALS. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm exhausted and I didn't do a thing the entire time. You guys are out there playing, and that's just incredible. So once and for all, from Walter and myself and the entire Angel Fund family, guys, thank you.
One final thought. You know, Rat and I are going to do everything we can to make sure we can break your us next year. I ask you to do everything you can to be here next year.
100%. Rat is really fortunate because they've been able to identify the gene.
Well, because he has a familial, so they can identify the gene, whereas Walter's is idiopathic, right? It just happened. We all know what this disease is. It's not something that we don't know, and so I think every year we see him, it's such a relief, and watching him go and still be able to get behind the plate, it's like, okay, it's another year that this is okay, it's another year we're all right. So I think Walter has made and left little imprints on people's heart, I think a little bit more than he realizes.
Every 100 innings of baseball that we've played for the last 10 years has been my last one. When it's over, I'm like, this is the last time we're doing this. I'm not playing. I can't do this anymore. I'm 49 years old now. I was a young man when this thing started. I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. And then I remember Walter Bentson is still doing this. Rat is still doing this. People with ALS are still coming down to support us. And as long as that happens, we're going to keep this game going. At the end of the game, after 100, and you're exhausted and your body hurts, and every time you swing and hit the ball and your hands sting, you're like, this is the last time I'm doing this, never again. And then sure enough, come June, Walter Bentson calls, hey Brett, it's Walter Bentson. We doing 100, I got Quincy for 100 innings of baseball again. Can you help get that set up? I'm like, oh my God, I guess we're doing this again.
Which one? That black one right there? That's mine, yeah.
You're kidding.
Did that one get hit?
Oh, it's demolished. Here's the ball. hope it wasn't a window.
The black car right there?
Yeah.
There was a window got broken?
Would you like to see it?
Alright, let's go.
On one hand, it's very funny. On the other hand, it's not really funny.
Oh boy. That's no good.
Think it's broken?
I think it's broken. Better take a photo. Am I recording for like insurance purposes? We'll probably just take a photo of their phones.
But if you're recording, this is the baseball.
Yeah, put the ball in there. No, like get it in the car.
But then you'll never reach it out.
Oh, don't break the windshield though. I still gotta get home tomorrow or whatever.
At least it's not raining.
Earlier in the show, well, the Raiders have to play tomorrow. They're 3-2. They're in Denver tomorrow. They're also 3-2. 4:25 Eastern kickoff.